Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Mariana and this is Harvest Home Haven. I will be sharing a June garden tour. So this is a tour of the front of our garden, and there's a lot blooming right now. So let's just hop right into it and make sure to share this video with your friends and subscribe if you're not already subscribed. Here is a pan view of the front yard. And right now, a lot of stuff is in bloom. A lot of the annuals have put on a lot of size since the last garden tour. Here is Mystic Spire's Blue Salvia, and this is only 2 plants, if you can believe it. So it grows enormously, and our mailbox is right here, so I'm sure our mailman's not really a fan of all the pollinators because this is constantly covered in pollinators. There are bees on this. I don't know if you can see them, but it's usually covered in pollinators. And right below that, I have an osteospermum. This one is by Proven Winners. And next to that, we have Rudbeckia. I believe this one is like Indian Summers, something like that. And this other one, I'm not sure what this variety is, but it's a double and it's beautiful. Beautiful bright yellow with that dark eye center. And here is kind of a menagerie. I'll get my shadow out of the way of plants. As you can see, this Echinacea has just definitely exceeded the growing tag height, but I didn't have it in me to move it. So this is what the Echinacea looks like. It's a beautiful pink. And they have those beautiful seed heads, which I really enjoy. You can even use them dried arrangements. There's a moth on some cosmos that's self-seeded. And behind that, I have a sunflower right here over on the left-hand side. That one is a newer one I got from Annie's Annuals, and I believe it's Italian white, or Italian white or Italian white wedding, something like that. So I'm really excited. It's a branching sunflower, and you can see there's 3 blooms on it. So I'm very excited to see that once it blooms. There's a few things that I transplanted in the wintertime and a few annuals. So down below there's a white verbena. That one's by Proven Winners. Next to that is some lavender. And then behind the very eager Echinacea is some lamb's ear, which is beautiful, and I wish this was the front of the border. That was the intention. Some beautiful lamb's ear, and I believe this here next to it is jasmine that it was here when we moved in, and it was completely woody and overgrown, and I tore it out, but it came back. And then this bed here is mainly a perennial bed, so you'll see some things have lulled out, some things are coming into bloom, some things there's weeds I need to clean up. So always something to do in the garden, right? You'll see a few cans. I'm going to be adding some more lavender so that way the border fills in a bit more. But you can see we have an array of salvia. There's lots of lavender. I've recently added this yarrow over here on the left. That's the variety is called pomegranate, I think. So it should be like a pretty pomegranate raspberry type of shade. And it is budding up. It has buds. So next to that, Queen of Sweden. And it's its first year, so it bloomed, I would say a month ago or 2 months ago. No, it bloomed about a month ago. So it's just, I've been fertilizing it, but it looks all right. I expect all of the first year roses to do a lot better second and third year. And then next to that, I just added this red hot poker plant. I like to repeat plants since this is kind of a longer border. I want it to all be similar, but not exactly the same. So there's lots of the same colors of different varieties or cultivars of plants. We have Agastaki, some more lavender, and a repeat of the osteospermum, all under this olive tree. This olive tree was planted from a cutting, so it was extremely tiny when it got in the ground. So it's grown a lot since we've had it, and I will start limbing it up maybe once it puts on some more growth. And next to that, we have a beautiful butterfly bush. I love this one. This one is Puckster Periwinkle by Proven Winners, and it has a beautiful shade to it. It's not super bright. It's not super like obnoxiously pink. It's almost like a lilac-y color. It's beautiful. And then next to that, we have the Holy Grail hardy hibiscus. Here we have right below it a Supertunia Vista Snowdrift, and that will fill up that area. And I like it contrasting with the darkness of the Holy Grail. And next to that, we have some Erigeron or Santa Barbara Daisy. And moving on down this long border, we have a lemon tree that I need to prune back, and our orange tree that already has tons of oranges on it. Our lemons have lemons as well, but they're a little hidden. Our oranges are definitely coming into fruition. And here in the middle, we have a gardenia, which has one bloom right now. Just one. Go ahead and shade it so you can see. And gardenias are one of my favorite flowers. They smell so good to me. I wish I was a better gardenia mom because this one has had a lot of dieback. But it's okay. We take our wins when we have them. On the left-hand side, it's hard to see, but has some lamium down there that doesn't really spread, so didn't really do what I wanted it to do, but it's okay. And then some Surefire begonia, Surefire red, I think, begonia by Proven Winners that overwintered from last year. And this tree was gifted to me by someone very close to me, a family friend who lives in Napa. And they have an enormous tree and from the right side, so I need to stake it because we don't want the trunk to get too hard and stay that way, right? So I need to come in and stake it. It definitely got damaged when we got our new fence installed. That's why it's so uneven and there's no growth on the right hand side. So it needs some help, but it is a beautiful tree. It has these white blooms that I don't know the time of the year that it blooms because I've never seen it bloom yet. It said usually blooms by the third year if it's a newly planted tree, and this is its third year, but like I said, it had lots of damage occur to it, so I don't know if it'll bloom this year. Right below it, we have a limelight hydrangea, and this hydrangea, it's going on its second year. I like this variety because it has, let's see if I can shade it, or you can see in the sun actually better. This variety has really pretty leaves underneath. And I think only gardeners may appreciate this because who goes around just flipping leaves over? But I do love that about this one, and it actually is prettier to me in the early spring when it has all of its new fresh growth. It's a lot darker, but with the sun, it gets that more greenish tone to it. So moving on, we have our front porch and the avocado tree. So I call this the avocado bed. And here right below it, we have those in this grow bag over on the left. We have some strawberries that stopped blooming because I had to transplant them once they had already started fruiting. And strawberries, once they get going, like, they kind of need to stay in their place. If you stop them, you move them around once they're already fruiting, they tend not to, they just have the foliage, they tend not to, right, because they're focusing on root growth, they're not focusing on producing fruit. So they don't really have much fruit right now. They did, but like I said, I had to move them, and I put them in here because they're temporary and I don't know where they're gonna go afterwards. And we have a geranium that I recently just repotted because it was super root bound. Pots that I recently just threw in some seeds, and hopefully those sprout soon. We have a tomato that I added inside of this obelisk. As you can see, this pot is loving its life. That pot has Supertunia minivista midnight, Supertunia latte, and a little bit that's peeking through is Diamond Frost euphorbia. And I'm loving this combination. If I were to redo it, I would add more Supertunia latte. That only has one Supertunia minivista midnight, and it completely took over like the entire pot. I also think I have budworms. There are holes in the flowers, and that's usually a sign of budworm damage. You can see that one right there has been bitten, but I haven't really kept up with spraying, and I'm not too worried about it. I'm just letting things go as they naturally want to go. And then below all of the tomatoes, we have an array of basil, and I cut on this often. That's why it's so short, but actually it's putting on a lot of growth pretty quickly. But I cut on it like every week and use it in the kitchen. And I planted this one here for pollinators. We have beautiful lamb's ear. I love this lamb's ear, and it just does a great job of spreading but not getting too crazy. Over here we have, moving down like the line, I recently added, I had these, can't really see it, but right here is a purple fountain grass. We'll see if it takes. Those were overwintered from last year, and it's getting really hot, and I wasn't able to, they were in their nursery cans, and I have not been keeping up with, I just couldn't keep them watered enough. So I just threw them in the ground on either side. If they take, they take. If they don't, we'll toss it. Down the line is my candy tuft. You saw my last garden tour, you would have seen they were still up. I've now cut them back. So they're all cut back, and those will reflush later on. They may even reflush in the fall. In front, we have two matching terracotta pots that have David Austin Rose Eustacia Vi. And right behind that, we're getting some work done, so I can't really move the pot over right now because we need access to get to the back very easily. But later on I will move them over so that way these lantana get some more like it's just visually more pleasing, because I have 2 lantanas and they're barely beginning to bloom. But this is what they look like. And they're really pretty. This is Proven Winners Lantana. I believe it's Royal Raspberry. And then we have some more Supertunia Mini Vista. No, sorry. Supertunia Vista Snowdrift. And those have grown a lot since they've gotten in the ground. Here is an up close of Eustacia Vi. And I've had some, like a grasshopper on this rose, so I have been trying to like knock them off, but they do, because they do like eating on the flowers. I believe they get into the buds, so that's why they look a little strange. Some pest issues, they're like eating on them. But look at this one. It's not right. But I don't really love the idea of spraying. So I'm just kind of letting things do its thing. If it becomes a big issue, then I guess I'll spray. But for now, I'm letting things go. We have marzinas lining this. And I believe they're a white variety from Johnny Seed. And then everything is just repeated. Everything that was on the left side is also on the right side. And then this is our entryway. And there's a few new things planted here. Not a few, there's a lot. Here in the nursery can over on the right, I have a star jasmine. And this star jasmine, we're actually getting some new buds. So I need to come in, I need to fertilize. But this will actually be going in the backyard. But once I had this here, I thought, how beautiful would it be to add a star jasmine in a pot? And actually, I have, for when we do Christmas lights, we already have some hooks right under the eave. And maybe just training it to go up a wire up here and across. I think that would be so pretty framing the window. So I actually might do that, but I do need star jasmine for a project that we'll be doing in the backyard once we get to that point. Comment down below if you think I should do this though, because I feel like it would be a beautiful addition and it would smell so good coming into the house, especially when it's blooming during springtime. So that would be, and it would also be like a beautiful picture moment. I don't know. I can see it in my head. In the pots, we just have an array of things like some chocolate mint that I just completely cut back, but that should come back fairly quickly. Mint loves its life. There's some more mint that I also just cut back yesterday. This is more of like a traditional spearmint. This is chocolate mint. And then here we have some marjoram in this pot with the diamond frost euphorbia. And then up above we have chives, we have some lemon thyme, some osteospermum, African daisy, I'm not going to focus, cool. There we go. We have some osteospermum, African daisy, and I just cut this back yesterday. As you can see, all of this is, all the spent blooms were just cut back. I deadheaded it. And then in here we also have some Supertunia Royal Velvet that is so spindly that I just cut it back entirely. That was overwintered, so that's why it looks like that. Here, I'm leaving it to see if it comes back. I'm going to be fertilizing today right after this video, so we'll see. This is lemon thyme. Oh, it smells so good. And it's nice because it's right next to the front door, so I can just come outside and cut on the mint. the lemon thyme as well as the tomatoes that are on the other side, the basil, everything is like just easy access. So I love that. And then yesterday, I actually just cut back a tree that we have in our backyard, and I intertwined it inside of this kind of like almost like a really fast, quick, and easy wattle fence, but without the traditional shape of a wattle fence. I just added them, braided some, curved them inside of the pot to keep up the osteospermum because it was flopping towards where the wind takes it. And then I have ivy in here as well, and I'm just twining it around the wood so that way it's not hanging. And I think it's looking a little more unique. And then back here I actually stuck some, I don't know if it'll do well because it's getting a lot of shade, but this area gets really hot, and I think it'll get, sun reflected off of the wall. This is Citronella, and I added this, to hopefully deter the mosquitoes. It smells so good too. So I added that to hopefully deter the mosquitoes from coming in this area. And oh my god, just wafting my hand on it. It smells so good. This is what budworms do. Look at that. That is budworm damage. I'm sure if I go looking within this pot, I'm going to find some. But I don't care to do that. I've seen. And then moving this way, I'm super excited because this is a new addition. This is a Thunbergia, and I'm so sad because there's just a bunch of buds right now and no flowers. I can insert an image of what the flowers look like, but it has grown so much since I've planted this in this pot. When I planted it, it was about this high, and that was last month. And now it's grown all the way up here. It's almost to the, oh my gosh, I kid you not, last night this was to here. So it grew this much just last night. I was just showing Renee, my fiance, I was just showing him yesterday how excited I was because it was growing so fast. And that's amazing. I'm like so amazed right now that it's growing so quickly. And as you can see, if you can see it, there is twine that I wrapped. So I just put 2 eye hooks. There's one here because again, that's what we use for our Christmas lights. But I put one here and I put one down here, and I just move the twine all the way up this way. And then once it grows all the way over here, I will add more twine going this way so it goes over the door. And I just think that's going to look so pretty. The beautiful just greenery entrance with the pink flowers. Thunbergia I got is called Rose, I believe. Let's see. Throw the tag in here. I should have thrown the tag in here. It has to be somewhere buried. But I believe it was called Rose, or Rose something. And it's a beautiful pink. And it fades almost to a white. So that looks really pretty. And then over here is our porch. And I recently planted these hydrangeas. These are just your run-of-the-mill basic hydrangea. I do have a little bit of scorching, but honestly this is really good for me because I do not have a good history with big leaf hydrangeas or your macrophylla hydrangeas. So this was an impulse buy. I honestly didn't want to invest in getting it's worth it, don't get me wrong, it's worth buying a name brand for many things. Like for example with the limelights, if I were to do a big hedge where I'm investing money and getting multiples of something, it's worth spending the money on a name brand plant, because you at least have that kind of reassurance that they've been tested and they're just supposed to be the best of the best, right? And getting a no-name plant, you're like, this may work, this may not, but it was really cheap. So that was a long-winded answer of saying I got the no names because I had no faith in myself growing big leaf hydrangeas. And so far, they're doing pretty well. We'll see how they do in the winter time, and then the real test will be if they come back for me. I won't be cutting these at all. That was my first mistake with big leaf hydrangeas, because I followed the instructions on the tags, not knowing about new wood, old wood, all of those rules. So I'm just not gonna do anything with these. We'll see if they last until next year and if they come back and do next year. If they do well, then in my shady areas, I may plant more. And then I'm super excited to get things like the summer endless. I've always wanted to try the summer endless hydrangeas. There's some beautiful varieties of hydrangeas, and I'm just trying to gain the confidence and skill set to be able to grow them, because I don't have a lot of shade, and they just cannot tolerate the heat in my area. This maybe gets like little hints through, see this gap right here in the avocado tree, gets a little bit of sun for like maybe an hour or two, and they will scorch if they don't have enough water. So the limelights have always been they've been a go-to for me because they can tolerate a little more heat. And then next to it, in between, I just have some regular, again, no name, just regular begonias. This was a very economical planting. And I got all these plants over here from Green Acres. And then some stuff that I'm growing from seed. That's calendula. And then over here, again, this is real life, so just excuse the mess. But this is Chocolate Drop Folius by Proven Winners. And this here is a white begonia. I forget what the name, but it's beautiful begonia. And then back here is a Persian shield. I do the last and final bed is this way, over in the front. I need to show you because they were not in bloom this last time. I'm so sorry it's so bright. But my Pope John Paul II roses are in bloom. And they are everything. I love these roses. They smell divine. I wish you had smell vision right now. They smell so good. And look at this. Look at this. I'm going to be cutting a lot of these, but that's why I came out to do this tour, so that way I can cut them. And that's my favorite thing about having a garden, is having fresh flowers in the house. It's literally my favorite thing in the world. Look at this. And these get fertilizer. I've done the Van Linden mix twice. I did one in February and I did an application last month. And then in between, I'll fertilize with Maxi fertilizer. That was the one that was actually over there by the shade container I was just showing. And right below that, we have an array of perennials and some annuals mixed in, or some temperennials for me in my zone. What that means is it's like generally sold as an annual in most places, but in higher zones it should come back as a perennial. So we have some Luscious Grape Lantana by Proven Winners. This is more of the Moon Glow. Oh, it's called Bright Lights Moon Glow, I think. Osteospermum. I have some catmint, and a lot of the catmint is laid down because cat in my neighborhood really enjoys that plant and comes from my yard. I'm going to talk about it. It's a touchy subject. Then we have here in the middle, it's a Buddleia butterfly bush. Like those blooms are. So the difference between this one and that one, the habits obviously different. The Huckster Periwinkle one by Proven Winners is a dwarf butterfly bush, so that should be its max size. It may get larger in my area because it's so hot, but this one has a little bit tinier blooms and it's more vase-shaped, whereas the Proven Winners variety is a little bit darker in color. This one's like more of a sage green. That one has more of a bluish tinge to the foliage. And that one is a lot more round. This one's a lot more vase and columnar shape. And I was thinking of maybe moving it or just having to chuck it because it's getting so big. But I don't know, I kind of like it. It draws your eye up. It still adds privacy. And you never know, maybe I saw on a video recently of a garden tour that Jamie from Dig Plant Water Repeat shared. She did a garden tour of someone else's garden over in Sacramento, so it's really close to me, location wise, and they had a butterfly bush trained into like a tree. So I thought that was pretty cool, and maybe one day I'll do that, and that way I can plant under if this gets too big. Anyways, in this bed, we have several things. So I have some Super Tunia bubblegum, Tunia latte, and I really like this Super Tunia. I'm thinking I'll line this next year if I can get my hands on enough. All around the avocado. I think that would look really pretty. And we have some boxwoods. I think these are Green Mountain boxwoods, lined around in a circular shape around the Earth Angel rose. This rose is also newly planted, and I left this up just so you can see the growth habit, but they grow almost in a cluster and when they bloom, and this is nothing compared to what it looks like when they are freshly blooming. To have some, I think they're Asiatic lilies. I don't know, I always confuse them, Oriental and Asiatic lilies, but these ones are all bloomed out. They're basically done. So I'll cut those down. And here's another one that's a little bit more fresh. Those I actually got on, a lot of these, almost everything I got on clearance except the roses and the Super Tunias. So that way there's topiary here in the middle, and then grow something white around it. I think it'll look really pretty. And then moving this way is just all repeat, and the only thing that's different is that